The warning lights painted Minho's face red as his ship tore through space like a wounded bird. Metal screamed around him. The control panel sparked and died, then flickered back to life for just a moment before going dark again. He gripped the controls harder, his knuckles white, sweat dripping down his temple despite the cold air rushing through the cracked hull. "Arya, give me something," he shouted over the noise. The ship's artificial intelligence responded with a weak, crackling voice. "Engine failure. Critical. Hull breach on decks 2 and 3. Life support at 30%. Captain, I recommend immediate evacuation." "Evacuate to where?" Minho's laugh was bitter. They were millions of miles from the nearest outpost. His small research vessel wasn't meant for deep space emergencies. It was built for curiosity, for discovery, for peaceful exploration of the unknown regions near the Andara Nebula. Now that curiosity might kill him, the ship shuddered violently. Through the cracked viewport, Minho saw it. A planet. Green and blue, wrapped in white clouds. It looked almost like Earth, hanging there in the darkness like a jewel. But it wasn't on any map. It wasn't supposed to exist here. Area, plot emergency landing course. "Captain, I cannot guarantee. Just do it." The planet's gravity caught them. Minho felt his stomach drop as the ship accelerated downward. The hull began to glow red-hot as they hit the atmosphere. Fire streaked past the windows. The heat inside the cabin rose quickly. Minho's hands flew across the emergency controls, trying to angle the ship, trying to find any way to slow their descent. The clouds swallowed them. Rain battered the hull. Wind threw the ship sideways, then down, then spinning. Minho caught glimpses through the chaos. Trees, massive trees, taller than skyscrapers, glowing with soft blue and purple light. A forest that looked alien and beautiful and deadly. "Brace for impact," Arya said. Her voice calm despite everything. Minho pulled the crash harness tight across his chest. He closed his eyes. The world exploded into noise and pain. When Minho opened his eyes, everything hurt. His head pounded. His left arm throbbed. Blood dripped from a cut above his eyebrow. The cabin was tilted at a strange angle, filled with smoke and the smell of burning circuits. Sunlight, wrong-colored, more purple than yellow, streamed through the broken viewport. He unbuckled slowly, testing his body. Nothing felt broken, just bruised everywhere. Lucky. Impossibly lucky. Arya? Silence. Then, after a long moment, a weak response. "Systems. At minimum function. I can provide basic diagnostics only. Captain, I am sorry." "Don't be sorry. You kept us alive." Minho pulled himself toward the emergency supply locker. Inside, he found a medical kit, water, rations, and a portable scanner. His hands shook as he cleaned the cut on his face and sealed it with medical gel. The scanner showed the air outside was breathable. Oxygen levels actually higher than Earth. Temperature comfortable. No immediate toxins detected. It seemed impossible. This uncharted planet was more hospitable than dozens of mapped worlds. Minho forced open the emergency hatch. It groaned and fell away with a crash. He climbed out into an alien world. The forest was unlike anything he had ever seen. The trees were enormous, their bark smooth and dark, covered in patterns that glowed softly. Vines hung everywhere, thick as his arm, swaying in a gentle breeze. Flowers the size of dinner plates grew on the forest floor, opening and closing slowly like they were breathing. The light that filtered through the canopy was violet and blue, casting everything in strange shadows. It was beautiful. It was terrifying. Minho limped around his ship, assessing the damage. The Times, Horizon Times, was destroyed. The engines were crushed. The communication array was snapped in half. The rescue beacon blinked weakly, but he could tell from the readings that it wasn't strong enough to reach anyone. He was alone. Stranded. On a planet that shouldn't exist. He spent the next few hours salvaging what he could: food, water, medical supplies, a portable power unit, his universal translator, though it showed error messages, a small weapon, just a plasma pistol for emergencies. He piled everything near the ship, working despite the pain, because working kept the fear away. As the purple sun began to set, Minho noticed something. The glowing patterns on the trees were getting brighter. The whole forest was lighting up, like someone was turning on a billion tiny lights. It was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. For a moment, he forgot about the crash, forgot about being stranded, and just stared. That's when he felt it. The sensation of being watched. Minho's hand moved slowly to his pistol. He turned carefully, scanning the darkening forest. Nothing. Just trees and vines and glowing flowers. But the feeling didn't go away. His training kicked in. Someone was out there. "Hello," he called. His voice sounded small in the vast forest. "I'm not a threat. My ship crashed. I need help." Silence. Then, movement. Figures stepped out from behind the trees. They moved silently, gracefully, like shadows given form. Minho counted 5, then 10, then more. They surrounded him in a loose circle, weapons raised. They were humanoid, but clearly not human. Their skin had a pale, luminescent quality, with silver and blue patterns across their faces and arms. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light. They wore armor that looked grown, rather than built. Organic curves that fit their bodies perfectly. Each carried a weapon that pulsed with soft blue energy. They were all female. Every single one of them. The one in front, clearly the leader, stepped forward. She was taller than the others, with silver markings across her face like war paint. Her eyes were sharp, intelligent, dangerous. She studied Minho the way a scientist might study an interesting specimen. She spoke. The words were melodic, almost like singing, but Minho couldn't understand any of it. He raised his hands slowly, showing he was unarmed, showing he meant no harm. The woman spoke again, more urgently this time. Her soldiers tensed, weapons pointing more directly at him. Minho's heart raced. This was first contact, but not how anyone planned it. Not crashed and bleeding, and surrounded. His universal translator suddenly beeped. The screen lit up, processing the language, building patterns, searching for common ground. It would take time, but it was working. The woman stepped closer. She reached out and touched his face, examining the medical gel on his wound. Her fingers were gentle, despite the weapon in her other hand. She said something else, this time with what sounded like curiosity. The translator beeped again. Words began to appear on the screen. Rough translations. Not perfect, but close enough. Minho activated the speaker function. The woman jumped back, her weapon raised again. The other soldiers closed in. But then Minho's translator spoke in her language, repeating his earlier words. "I'm not a threat. My ship crashed. I need help. I need help. I need help. I need help." The woman's eyes went wide. She lowered her weapon slightly. She spoke again, slowly this time, letting the translator work. The words that came through Minho's speaker made him freeze. "You are male?" It wasn't a statement. It was a question filled with disbelief, with wonder, with something that sounded almost like hope. She stepped closer again, studying him more carefully now, as if seeing him for the first time. Minho nodded slowly. "Yes, I'm human. From Earth. My name is Minho." The woman turned to her soldiers and spoke rapidly. They lowered their weapons, but the looks on their faces were shocked. One of the younger ones looked like she might cry. The leader turned back to Minho. Through the translator, her words came clearly now. "I am Nari, commander of the Velhari. You must come with us. Now, what you are, it changes everything." Minho walked through the glowing forest, surrounded by alien warriors. They moved silently around him, weapons ready but not threatening. Nari led the way, her silver markings catching the bioluminescent light from the trees. Nobody spoke. The only sounds were footsteps on soft ground and the strange calls of creatures hidden in the canopy above. The walk lasted 2 hours. Minho's injured body protested every step, but he didn't complain. These people, these Velhari, held his life in their hands. He studied them as they walked. They were beautiful in an otherworldly way. Each had unique patterns on their skin, like fingerprints made of light. Their movements were precise, controlled, like dancers or soldiers who had trained their entire lives. Then the forest opened up, and Minho stopped breathing. The city rose before him like something from a dream. Massive trees served as foundations for buildings that seemed to grow naturally from the wood. Bridges of living vine connected structures hundreds of feet in the air. Crystal formations spiraled up from the ground, glowing from within, providing light and power. Water flowed through channels carved into the tree bark, creating waterfalls that misted the air with rainbows. It was technology and nature merged into one. It was the most advanced and most organic city Minho had ever seen, and it was nearly empty. As they entered through a massive gate carved into a tree trunk, Minho saw the truth. The city was built for millions, but only thousands remained. Most buildings stood dark and empty. The streets were too quiet. Gardens grew wild and untended. This was a civilization, dying slowly. People stopped to stare as Nari's group passed through. Minho heard gasps, whispers, people running to get others. Word spread fast. The stranger is male. The stranger is male. The words followed him like an echo. Nari led him to a building at the city's center, grown from 3 trees twisted together. Inside, the walls were smooth and warm. Lights emerged from the wood itself, soft and natural. They climbed stairs that curved gently upward until they reached a chamber at the top. 3 women waited there. One was ancient, her skin patterns faded to almost white, her eyes tired but sharp. Another was middle-aged, wearing robes covered in scientific symbols, holding a strange device. The third was young, maybe 20 in human years, dressed in warrior's armor, but watching Minho with open curiosity instead of suspicion. "Honored Elder Jiwoo," Nari said, bowing her head. "Chief Scientist Hana. Warrior Yuna. I present the stranger who fell from the sky." The old woman, Jiwoo, studied Minho for a long moment. When she spoke, the translator converted her words into careful, measured tones. "In 300 years, no male has walked our streets. In 300 years, we have searched the stars for salvation and found only emptiness. And now you fall from the sky, like a gift from the ancestors." She paused. "Or a curse. Which are you, stranger?" Minho met her eyes. "My name is Minho. I'm an explorer from a planet called Earth. My ship crashed. I mean you no harm. I'm just trying to survive." Hana stepped forward, her device scanning him. "Remarkable. His biology is similar to ours in many ways, but different in others. The genetic markers are..." She trailed off, lost in her readings. "What happened here?" Minho asked. "Why are there no males?" The room fell silent. Yuna looked away. Nari's expression hardened. Jiwoo sighed deeply, and the sound carried centuries of grief. "Sit," Jiwoo said. "You deserve to understand what you have stumbled into." They sat on cushions around a low table. Hana activated a holographic display that showed the history of the Velhari. Minho watched images of a thriving civilization that once spanned multiple star systems. Billions of people, great cities, ships that crossed the galaxy, art, science, culture, all flourishing. Then the plague. It appeared without warning 300 years ago. A genetic disease that targeted male Velhari specifically. Within 5 years, every male in their civilization was dead. Scientists worked desperately for a cure, but the plague was too sophisticated, too targeted. Some suspected it was a weapon from an ancient war, but nobody knew for sure. The last male died 287 years ago. We survived through cloning technology, Hana explained, her voice flat. We could create new Velhari from existing genetic material, but without genetic diversity, without males to provide new combinations, each generation is weaker than the last. We are copies of copies of copies. The degradation is accelerating. Jiwoo continued. 300 years ago, we numbered in the billions. Now, we are 3,000. In another generation, maybe two, we will be extinct. We are the last, the final tribe of a dying people. Minho felt the weight of those words. An entire civilization reduced to 3,000 individuals, watching their extinction approach with mathematical certainty. Other tribes existed, Nari said. We sent colony ships to different worlds before the plague, but over the centuries, we lost contact. Some died out. Others, she paused, others chose darker paths to survive. What about other species? Minho asked. Trade? Alliances? We tried, Hana said. But our genetics are unique. No other known species is compatible. Cross-species genetic engineering failed every time. We are alone in the universe. It seems. Beautifully, tragically, alone. Yuna finally spoke up. The old stories say that males were strong, brave, different from us in mind and body. But I've never seen one. None of us have. You're like a legend, made real. Minho didn't know what to say to that. On Earth, gender equality was standard. Men and women worked together, fought together, built together. But here, he was literally the only male in an entire civilization. Why did you bring me here? He asked Nari. You could have left me at my ship. Nari and Hana exchanged a look. Hana spoke carefully. Because you represent something we haven't had in 3 centuries. Hope. Your presence suggests that male genetics still exist in the universe. Your biology, though different from ours, might hold answers. You want to study me. We want to save our people, Jiwoo said firmly. But we will not force you. You are a guest, not a prisoner. You are free to leave if you wish. Though I suspect you have nowhere to go. She was right. His ship was destroyed. His rescue beacon was too weak. Earth was impossibly far away. He was stuck here. I'm a xenobiologist, Minho said slowly. I study alien life, alien genetics. If I can help, I will. But I need to understand what you're proposing. Hana's eyes lit up. A scientist. Even better. Come, let me show you our research. Over the next few hours, Hana showed Minho the Velhari's genetic technology. It was centuries ahead of Earth's science. They could manipulate DNA with precision humans only dreamed of. They could grow organs, create biological machines, even craft living buildings. But they couldn't solve their fundamental problem. We've tried everything, Hana said, frustration clear in her voice. We've attempted to recreate male genetics from our historical records. We've experimented with artificial genetic diversity. Nothing works. We're missing something essential. Minho studied the data. His human understanding of genetics was primitive compared to theirs. But sometimes, an outside perspective helped. What if the problem isn't what you're adding, but what you're missing? Male genetics isn't just about creating males. It's about genetic recombination. Sexual reproduction creates variation. That variation is what keeps species strong. We know this, Hana said. But without males of your species, Minho interrupted. But I'm male. Different species. Yes. But maybe different enough to work? The room fell silent. Hana stared at him. That's impossible. Cross-species compatibility doesn't work. We've tested this. With species you've encountered before. But humans evolved completely separately from Velhari. Maybe our genetics are different enough to bypass whatever blocks you've encountered. Hana pulled up new screens, running calculations. Her fingers flew across holographic controls. Numbers cascaded down displays. After several minutes, she looked up. Her expression shocked. It's a small chance, very small. But it's not zero. Your genetic structure has similarities to ours in unexpected places. If we could use your DNA as a template, combine it with our gene-weaving technology. She trailed off, thinking furiously. Would it work? Nari asked. I don't know, Hana admitted. It would take time. Testing. The chance of failure is high. But it's the first real possibility we've had in 300 years. Jiwoo stood slowly, leaning on a staff carved from crystal. Then we proceed. But carefully. Respectfully. Minho, you have given us something precious tonight. Hope. Whether this works or not, you have reminded us why we keep fighting. A sudden alarm cut through the room, a low, pulsing sound that made every Velhari freeze. Nari rushed to a control panel. Report, she commanded. A voice crackled through. Commander, our long-range sensors detect a ship approaching. Configuration matches old Velhari designs. They're broadcasting on ancient frequencies. Another tribe? Yuna whispered. Nari's expression darkened. Maybe. Or maybe the ones we hoped would never find us. She turned to Minho. It seems your arrival has drawn attention. An old distress beacon from our city. Dormant for centuries. Activated when your ship crashed. Someone has finally answered it. Is that bad? Minho asked. Nari's hand moved to her weapon. That depends on who's coming. And what they want. 3 weeks passed like a strange dream. Every morning, Minho woke in his room at the top of the great tree, sunlight filtering through crystal windows. Every morning, he wondered if this was real. An alien world. A dying civilization. And him, somehow. At the center of their last hope, the work with Hana was exhausting. She took samples of his blood, his tissue, his DNA. Her machines analyzed everything about his human biology. Some tests hurt. Others left him dizzy and weak. But Hana was always careful. Always respectful. Always asking permission before each new procedure. Your genetics are fascinating, she said one afternoon, studying results on a floating holographic screen. Human evolution took such a different path from ours. You're more resilient to certain things, weaker to others. Your DNA has redundancies, ours lacks. It's beautiful, really. Like comparing two different languages that somehow say the same things. Minho smiled despite his tiredness. Find anything useful? Hana's expression shifted to something between hope and fear. Maybe. Your Y chromosome, the male genetic marker, has structures that mirror our ancient male genetics. Not identical, but similar enough that our gene-weaving technology might be able to bridge the gap. It's like finding two puzzle pieces from different sets that almost fit together. With enough precision, we might make them connect. And if it doesn't work, then we keep trying. We've been dying for 300 years, Minho. We're patient. But Minho saw the lie in her eyes. They didn't have time for patience. Every year, fewer children were born. Every year, more of those children were weak, sick, unable to survive. The Velhari were running out of time, and everyone knew it. Outside the laboratory, Minho learned about the Velhari people. Yuna became his guide and friend. She was young, curious, full of questions about Earth and humans and everything he'd seen in his travels. Tell me about human males again, she said one day, as they walked through the city's gardens. Are they really so different from females? Minho laughed. We're different, but not as much as you might think. Physically, Males are usually bigger, stronger, but females can be just as strong with training. Mentally, emotionally, we're more similar than different. On Earth, we learned that working together, respecting each other's strengths, that's what makes us successful. Yuna touched a flower that glowed softly under her fingers. Our old stories paint males as warriors, protectors, leaders. But we've had to be all those things ourselves. I wonder what we lost when they died. Maybe nothing, Minho said gently. Maybe you became complete on your own. She smiled at that. You're kind, Minho. Kinder than I expected. The stories made males sound fierce and hard. Some are, some aren't, just like anyone. Yuna showed him their combat training grounds. The Velhari warriors were incredible. They moved like water, fast and fluid. Their weapons, grown from bioengineered materials, could shift between forms. A staff became a blade, became a whip of energy. Minho watched in awe. Wanna try? Yuna offered him a practice staff. I'll embarrass myself. Good, we could use the entertainment. He did embarrass himself. The Velhari warriors were faster, more skilled, trained since childhood. But Minho was adaptable. He learned quickly, and he brought techniques they'd never seen. Human martial arts, developed over thousands of years of warfare. Different angles, different philosophies. After he managed to sweep Yuna's legs out from under her using a move she didn't expect, the warriors actually clapped. Nari watched from the side. Arms crossed. Something like approval on her face. Your species is weak individually, Nari said later. But you compensate with creativity, with unpredictability. It's admirable. We survive by adapting, Minho replied. It's kind of our thing. Nari walked with him through the empty streets as purple twilight fell. The city's bioluminescence began to glow, beautiful and lonely. Do you fear death, Minho? The question caught him off guard. Yes. Everyone does, I think. I don't fear my own death, Nari said quietly. I fear being the commander who watches the last child die, the last elder fade, the last light go out in this city. I fear being the end of everything we were. Minho didn't know what to say. The weight Nari carried was impossible. She was responsible for the last remnants of an entire civilization. She was remnants of an entire civilization. What was it like? He asked. Nari's eyes grew distant. I don't know. I was born into a dying world. My mother told me stories, passed down from her mother, from generations back. Cities that covered planets, ships that carried millions. Music that could make stars weep. But they're just stories to me. Beautiful ghosts. They don't have to be. If Hana's work succeeds, if, Nari interrupted. That's a small word, carrying impossible hope. Hope is better than nothing. Nari looked at him. Really looked at him. Is that what we are to you? A charity case? A dying species you can save to feel good about yourself? No, Minho said firmly. You're people. You're amazing people, with incredible culture and technology and beauty. You deserve to survive. Not because I feel sorry for you, but because the universe would be darker without you in it. Something shifted in Nari's expression. The hardness cracked just a little. You really believe that? Yes. They stood in silence as the city lights grew brighter. Somewhere, someone was playing music. A haunting melody that sounded like loneliness, given form. Thank you, Nari said finally, for trying. Even if it fails, thank you for giving us these weeks of hope. The breakthrough came on a rainy afternoon. Minho was in his room, reading translated Velhari literature on a datapad, when Hana burst through the door. Her face was flushed, her eyes wild. It worked, she gasped. Minho, it worked. They rushed to the laboratory. On a screen, Minho saw something that looked like a small cluster of cells, glowing gently in a containment field. An embryo, Hana explained, her words tumbling over each other. We used your genetic template with our gene-weaving technology. The male marker's integrated. It's stable, healthy, growing. We created a male Velhari embryo. Minho stared at the screen. That tiny collection of cells represented something impossible. A species salvation. The first male of their kind in 3 centuries. Are you sure? I've run every test 3 times. It's real, Minho. It's real. Hana activated an alarm. A joyful chime that rang through the city. Within minutes, people gathered. Nari arrived, running. Yuna close behind. Jiwoo came more slowly, supported by aides, but her eyes were bright. Show us, Nari commanded. Hana projected the image large. Everyone stared at the small cluster of cells in awed silence. After 300 years, Jiwoo whispered. After 300 years of darkness, light. The celebration lasted into the night. The Velhari sang songs Minho didn't understand but felt in his bones. They danced in the streets. All, one key, and a consummate. For the first time since he arrived, Minho saw them not as a dying people, but as they must have been before. Alive, joyful, full of hope. Nari found him on a balcony, watching the celebration below. She stood beside him, and for a long moment, neither spoke. You did this, she said finally. Hana did this. I just provided raw materials. Don't diminish it. You crashed on an alien world, injured and alone. You could have hidden, run, focused only on survival. Minho turned to her. In the soft light, her silver markings seemed to glow. She was beautiful, he realized. Not human beautiful, but something beyond that. Strong and graceful and carrying so much weight with dignity. I'm glad I crashed here, he said. Is that weird? My ship is destroyed. I'm stranded. I'll probably never see Earth again. But I'm glad. Why? Because I found something here I never had out there. Purpose. Connection. A reason to matter. Nari reached out slowly, giving him time to pull away. When he didn't, she touched his face gently. You matter, Minho. To me. To all of us. The moment stretched between them, full of unspoken things. Then new alarms shattered the night. Not joyful chimes, but warning sirens. Nari's expression shifted instantly from soft to hard. She activated her communication device. Report. The response crackled through. Commander, the approaching ship has arrived. They're in orbit. They're broadcasting a message. Put it through. A voice filled the air. Female, speaking Velhari, but with an accent that sounded harsh. The translator converted it for Minho. Velhari of the ground. I am Saman, commander of the Cathara tribe. We received your ancient distress beacon. We have come to help our long-lost sisters. Open communications. Let us speak as family reunited. Nari's jaw clenched. Yuna appeared beside them, weapon already drawn. Is that bad? Minho asked. The Cathara split from us 200 years ago, Nari said. They decided that survival justified any cost. They raid other worlds, steal genetic materials, create unstable hybrids by force. They are what we refuse to become, and they're here, Yuna added. They know about the beacon. They'll know something changed, something that reactivated old systems. They'll know about me, Minho realized. Nari met his eyes. Yes, and they'll want you, whatever it takes. The War Council met in the Great Hall before dawn. Nari stood at the head of a table made from living wood, holographic displays floating in the air around her. Jiwoo sat to her right, Hana to her left. Yuna and 30 other senior warriors filled the room, and Minho stood near the back, feeling out of place but refusing to hide. The Cathara ship carries at least 500 warriors, Nari explained, pointing to tactical displays. Our scans show heavy weapons, boarding craft, and advanced shields. We have 3,000 people total, but only 800 trained warriors. They outnumber our military forces. What do they want? Asked one of the warriors. Nari looked at Minho. They've made it clear. They want the human. They want our research. They want the embryo. And they're willing to take it by force if necessary. Give them the human, someone suggested. Better one stranger than all our lives. No. Minho is under our protection. He's not even Velhari. Enough! Jiwoo's voice cracked like a whip despite her age. We are not the Kethara. We do not trade lives for survival. We do not sacrifice those who helped us. If that's what survival requires, then we deserve to die. The room fell silent. Minho felt warmth spread through his chest. These people barely knew him. But they would fight for him. Die for him. Maybe. I won't let that happen, Minho said, stepping forward. I'll surrender. I'll go to them. No, Nari said flatly. I'm not Velhari. I'm not your responsibility. If my surrender saves your people. No, Nari repeated, and there was something fierce in her eyes. You think humanity is the only species that values sacrifice? That cares for those who can't fight alone? You think we've survived 300 years by abandoning anyone who needed help? She moved closer to him. You are one of us now, Minho. That means we fight for you. Together. Minho wanted to argue, but the determination in her face stopped him. These were a people who had faced extinction for centuries and refused to compromise their values. He wouldn't insult that by arguing. Then we need a plan, he said. Because if they attack, you'll lose. You're a xenobiologist, not a military strategist, one warrior pointed out. No. But I'm human. And humans have spent 10,000 years finding creative ways to win fights we shouldn't. Let me help. No. Over the next 48 hours, Minho worked with Nari and her warriors. He brought human tactical thinking to their advanced technology. The results were unconventional, but that was the point. They laid traps in the forest using the natural bioluminescence to create false heat signatures. They programmed the city's defensive systems to work in ways the Kethara wouldn't expect. They salvaged weapons from Minho's crashed ship and integrated them with Velhari technology. They created communication networks using Earth encryption that the Kethara couldn't easily crack. Most importantly, Minho taught them about human psychological warfare. The Kethara think they know you. They think you're weak, desperate, easy to intimidate. Use that. Let them underestimate you. Then hit them where they're not looking. Yuna loved it. She practically glowed as she organized ambush teams, set up false supply depots, created entire fake defensive positions designed to waste the enemy's time and resources. You're a devious person, Minho, she said with a grin. I'm a survivor. There's a difference. On the third day, Soman sent another message. This time, her patience was gone. Velhari. You harbor a male specimen. You possess genetic research. These belong to all Velhari, not just you. Surrender them within 12 hours, or we will take them. Your city is defenseless. Your people are few. This doesn't have to be violent. Nari recorded her response. Commander Soman. The individual under our protection came to us by chance. Our research is our own. We owe the Kethara nothing. Leave our space, or we will defend ourselves. With what? Soman's laugh was cruel. You're pacifists, playing at being warriors. We will see you in battle. The transmission ended. The 12-hour countdown began. Minho spent those hours with Hana, making sure the embryo was secured in the deepest, most protected part of the city. Whatever happens, Hana said, this survives. Even if we don't talk like that. I'm a scientist, Minho. I deal in probabilities. Our chances aren't good. They're not zero either. Hana smiled sadly. No. Thanks to you, they're not zero. As the deadline approached, Minho found himself on the city walls beside Nari. The purple sun was setting, painting everything in shades of violet and gold. It was beautiful. He wished he could have seen this world in peace. Scared? Nari asked. Terrified, Minho admitted. On Earth, I was an explorer. I studied alien plants and microorganisms. I never fired a weapon outside of training. And now you're about to fight in an alien war on an alien world for people you met a month ago. Yeah, that. Nari was quiet for a moment. Then she said, My mother told me something before she died. She said fear is proof you have something worth protecting. The fearless have nothing to lose. On the Messen, Anaskover died. Klassing, Messenware. What do you have to lose? Nari looked at him. More than I realized a month ago. Nari looked at him month ago. Before Minho could ask what she meant, the alarms screamed. Ships dropped from orbit, cutting through the atmosphere like falling stars. Landing craft hit the ground in coordinated patterns, disgorging warriors in dark armor. They moved with military precision, surrounding the city, cutting off escape routes. All units, defensive positions, Nari commanded through the communication network. Remember the plan. Let them come. Let them think they're winning. The Kethara advanced confidently. Too confidently. They walked into the first trap 15 minutes later. False heat signatures drew a squad into a section of forest where Yuna's team waited. The ambush was brutal and fast. 10 Kethara down before they knew they were under attack. More ambushes followed. The Kethara's heavy weapons got bogged down in areas where Minho had identified weak ground. Their aerial units found themselves fighting in three-dimensional forest terrain they didn't understand. Their communications got jammed by systems they couldn't crack, but they kept coming. There were just too many. The battle reached the city walls. Velhari warriors fought with desperate courage, their weapons blazing. Minho found himself fighting alongside them, using his salvaged plasma pistol to provide covering fire. He wasn't skilled, but he was there. He wouldn't hide while others died for him. A Kethara warrior broke through the line, charging straight at Minho. He fired, missed. The warrior was too fast, too trained. Minho raised his arms uselessly. Yuna appeared like lightning, her blade cutting through the Kethara's weapon. They fought, fast and brutal. Yuna was winning until another Kethara joined the fight. Then another. Yuna, fall back! Minho shouted. Not without you. She held the line, protecting him, fighting 3 warriors at once. She was magnificent. But then one of the Kethara got lucky. A blade found the gap in Yuna's armor. She went down hard. No. Minho ran to her, firing wildly, not caring about his own safety. Nari appeared with reinforcements, driving the Kethara back. They dragged Yuna behind the lines. Blood pooled under her. Too much blood. Hana arrived with medical equipment, working frantically. But her face said everything. Yuna grabbed Minho's hand. Her grip was weak. You're going to be fine, Minho lied. Don't lie to me. She smiled despite the pain. We gave them a good fight. Didn't we? The best. Good. Her eyes started to close. You gave us hope. Minho. That's worth everything. She went still. Hana checked for a pulse, then slowly shook her head. Minho felt something break inside him. This young woman, who had shown him kindness, who had become his friend, was gone, dead protecting him. He stood slowly, rage and grief mixing into something cold and hard. He picked up Yuna's weapon, feeling its weight. Minho, Nari started. I'm done hiding, he said. I'm done letting others die for me. Where's Saman? In the center of their forces. Minho. This isn't... She challenged you, right? Single combat? Winner takes all? Nari hesitated. Yes. It's ancient tradition. But Then challenge her back. And when you fight, I'll be there. We end this now. Nari looked at him, saw something in his face, and nodded. She activated her communication device. Soman. I, Nari, commander of the Velhari, challenge you to single combat under ancient law. Your forces against mine. Winner claims victory. There was a pause. Then Soman's voice, amused. Finally, some courage. I accept. 1 hour. The clearing east of your city. Bring witnesses. The hour passed like years. They carried Yuna's body to the city center, laying her with the others who had fallen. Too many others. The price of survival kept rising. In the clearing, both sides gathered. Hundreds of warriors on each side, weapons ready but held back by ancient tradition. Soman stood in the center, tall and scarred, her armor showing decades of battle. Nari walked out to meet her. No armor, just ceremonial fighting clothes. Traditional weapons, blade against blade. They bowed to each other. Then they fought. It was the most brutal thing Minho had ever seen. Soman was older, more experienced, carrying the weight of 200 years of Cathara warfare. Nari was younger, but carried the desperate hope of her dying people. Blood flowed. Both warriors took hits. Soman was winning. Slowly. Her experience showing. Your people are weak. Soman shouted. You cling to old values in a new galaxy. Surrender and serve, or die with honor. We'll die free, Nari gasped, blocking another strike. We'll die. As ourselves. Soman's blade found Nari's shoulder. She went down. Soman raised her weapon for the killing blow, and Nari smiled. Now, Minhu. Minho stepped forward, raising a device Hana had given him. It broadcast a signal, sharp and loud, that cut through every communication system on both sides. Cathara warriors. Minho's voice echoed. I am Minho, human, the male your commander wants. And I have something to tell you. Your leader doesn't want me to save your species. She wants me as a weapon. As property. But the Velhari, they worked with me, respected me, gave me choice. We created something beautiful together. The first male embryo in 300 years. Proof that salvation comes from cooperation, not conquest. He paused. Some of you still remember what the Velhari were before the split. Some of you are tired of raiding, tired of forcing others, tired of losing yourselves. Join us. Choose a better way. Silence, then movement in the Cathara ranks. A warrior stepped forward. Then another. Then dozens. One of them, an officer named Unji, walked to the center. I'm tired of this, she said. I'm tired of what we've become. Commander Soman. I challenge your authority. Soman stared in disbelief. You dare? We dare, Unji said. More warriors joined her. This ends now. Soman's forces were fracturing. Civil war threatened. She looked at the chaos, at Nari struggling to stand, at Minho watching her carefully. She lowered her weapon. I yield. 2 months after the battle, Minho stood in Hana's laboratory and watched a miracle. The embryo they had created, the first male Velhari in 300 years, had grown in an artificial womb. Today, it would be born. Hana worked the controls with steady hands, despite the tears on her face. Jiwoo stood beside her, too emotional to speak. Nari was there too. Her shoulder still bandaged but healing. The womb's surface became transparent. Inside, a small form moved. Tiny hands, tiny feet. A baby. Impossibly perfect. He's ready, Hana whispered. She activated the final sequence. The womb opened slowly. Warm fluid drained away. Hana reached in carefully and lifted the baby into the air. He took his first breath and cried. Loud and strong and alive. A boy, Jiwoo said, her voice breaking. After 300 years, a boy. Hana cleaned him gently, checked his vital signs, wrapped him in soft cloth. Everything was perfect. He was healthy, strong. The genetic integration had worked even better than they hoped. "What will you name him?" Nari asked. Hana looked at Minho. "That honor belongs to the one who made this possible." Minho stepped forward, looking at the small life in Hana's arms. This baby represented so much. Hope, survival, the future of an entire species. But he was also just a baby, a new person beginning his journey. Daehan, Minho said softly. It means great land in Korean, because he's the foundation everything else will be built on. Daehan, Hana repeated, smiling through tears. Perfect. The news spread through the city faster than light. People gathered outside the laboratory, waiting, when Hana emerged carrying Daehan, showing him to everyone. The sound that rose from the crowd was joy, mixed with disbelief, mixed with relief so deep it seemed to shake the ground. They had a future now. It was small, fragile, but it existed. The celebration lasted for days. But there was also work to do. So much work. Unji and the Cathara warriors who had defected became allies. It was difficult at first. Trust had to be built slowly. But they shared the same goal now. Survival. Together, they numbered almost 8,000. Not much by galactic standards, but a start. "We need access to the genetic research," Yunji said during one of the council meetings. "Our people are dying too. The same degradation. Maybe faster. We need what the Velhari and Minho created." Nari looked at Minho. They discussed this privately many times. The research could save both groups, but it could also be abused, weaponized, turned into something terrible. "We share it," Minho said. "But with conditions. No forced genetic manipulation. No raids for DNA. No creating life just to exploit it. We do this ethically, or we don't do it at all." "We agreed," Yunji said without hesitation. "We're tired of the old ways. Show us better ones." Over the following weeks, Hana's team worked with Cathara scientists. The results were extraordinary. The human genetic template didn't just allow male births, it strengthened the entire Velhari genome. The hybrid vigor was incredible. Children born using the new techniques were healthier, stronger, more genetically diverse than any Velhari in 300 years. "It's the genetic variation," Hana explained to Minho. "Your DNA is different enough to break the patterns that were killing us. Every child born with this template will be unique, strong. We're not just surviving anymore. We're healing." But there was a problem. Minho's DNA was finite. They could create maybe 50 embryos with current samples. That wasn't enough to save a species. "We need more humans," Hana said bluntly during a private meeting with Minho and Nari. "Or at least, more human genetic material. Your Earth must have genetic databases, stored samples. Earth doesn't know I'm alive," Minho pointed out. "My ship's been crashed for months. They probably declared me dead. Then we contact them," Nari said. "We tell them what happened. We ask for help. And if they say no? If they think you're dangerous? Then we keep working with what we have," Nari replied. "But we have to try." They rebuilt the communication array using salvaged Cathara technology. It took 3 weeks of constant work, but finally, they had a transmitter powerful enough to reach Earth. Minho sat in front of the recording device, trying to figure out what to say. "How do you explain that you survived a crash, found an alien civilization, and now need your entire species' help to save another? Just tell the truth," Nari encouraged him. "Tell them what happened. Tell them what you found. Tell them why it matters." Minho took a breath and started recording. "This is Captain Minho of the exploration vessel Horizon, transmitting from uncharted planet X, 7449 inches, the Andara Nebula region. I survived a crash landing 4 months ago. I made contact with an intelligent alien species called the Velhari. They are facing extinction due to a genetic plague that killed all males 300 years ago." He paused, organizing his thoughts. I've been working with their scientists. Using human DNA, we've found a way to reintroduce male genetics to their population. But we need help. We need access to human genetic databases, medical supplies, and ideally, volunteers willing to work with us. Another pause. I know this sounds impossible. I know it raises questions about genetic ethics, about cross-species cooperation, about 1,000 other things, but I've lived with these people for months. I've seen their culture, their kindness, their determination to survive without losing their values. They deserve a chance. Our one. Their one. Their one, their one. We can give them that chance. He looked directly at the camera. This is first contact, but not the kind we imagined. It's not about conquering or being conquered. It's about two species helping each other survive. It's about showing that intelligence means compassion. Please, help us, save them. The transmission was sent. Now they waited. Earth was 3 months away at light speed. 6 months for a response if they answered immediately. Half a year of not knowing. But life continued. Dahan grew strong and healthy. More embryos were created. The first female children born using the new genetic template arrived, and they were perfect. Healthy. Full of life. The Velhari city began to change. Repairs were made. Empty buildings were refilled. Gardens were replanted. The Cathara, who had joined them, brought new skills, new perspectives. Slowly, the city stopped feeling like a tomb and started feeling like a home. Minho found himself falling into a routine. Mornings with Hana, helping with genetic research. Afternoons with Nari, planning for the future. Evenings in the city, teaching Velhari about Earth, learning more about their culture. One evening, Nari found him on his favorite balcony, watching the sunset paint the forest in shades of purple and gold. Thinking about Earth? She asked. Sometimes. It's strange. I miss it. But I don't want to leave here. Is that weird? No. Nari stood beside him, close enough that their shoulders touched. Home isn't always a place. Sometimes, it's people. Minho looked at her. Over the months, something had grown between them. Respect had become friendship. Friendship had become something deeper. Something he was afraid to name. Nari, wait. She held up a hand. Let me speak first. I've been a warrior my entire life. I was trained to be strong, to lead, to never show weakness. But you taught me something, Minho. You taught me that asking for help isn't weakness, that accepting love isn't weakness. She turned to face him fully. I love you. I don't know how that's possible. Different species, different worlds, different everything. But I do. And if that's inappropriate, if I've misread things, then... Minho kissed her. It was gentle, careful, a question and an answer at the same time. When they pulled apart, Nari was smiling. Really smiling. Not the warrior's mask she usually wore. So I didn't misread things? She said. Not even a little. They stood together as night fell, and the city lights began to glow. In the distance, children laughed. Velhari and Cathara working together on repairs. A city healing. A species surviving. 3 months later, the response from Earth arrived. The entire council gathered to hear it. Minho activated the playback with shaking hands. A face appeared on the screen. Admiral Park, head of the United Exploration Corps. Captain Minho, we received your transmission. We thought you were dead. We're grateful you're not. A pause. Your request is unprecedented. The Ethics Committee has been debating for weeks, but we've decided. We're sending a diplomatic mission, ships carrying medical supplies, genetic databases, and volunteers from multiple fields. Scientists, doctors, cultural experts, people who want to help. Admiral Park leaned forward. You've done something incredible, Captain. You've proven that first contact doesn't have to be about conflict. That different species can work together for mutual survival. You've made us proud. The transmission ended. The room exploded into noise. Celebration. Relief. Joy. They're coming, Hana whispered. They're actually coming. They're coming. Minho confirmed. 6 months later, the Earth ships arrived. 12 vessels, carrying hundreds of people, supplies, and hope. The Velhari and Cathara gathered to meet them. Nervous but excited, Minho stood with Nari, watching the ships land in the clearing outside the city. When the first humans emerged, he felt a strange mix of emotions. These were his people. But so were the Velhari now. The lead diplomat, a woman named Ambassador Kim, approached. She looked at Minho, then at the gathered Velhari, then back to Minho. Captain Minho, you've had quite an adventure. You could say that. She smiled. Well, let's get to work. We've got a species to save. Over the next year, everything changed. Human and Velhari scientists worked together, sharing knowledge that benefited both species. The genetic database from Earth provided enough diversity to secure the Velhari's future. Hundreds of healthy children were born. The population began to grow for the first time in 3 centuries. Cultural exchange happened too. Humans learned Velhari biotechnology, art, philosophy. Velhari learned human history, music, diverse perspectives. 2 civilizations, strengthening each other. The Cathara, with Unji's leadership, transformed. They returned stolen genetic materials to other species. They made amends where possible. They became partners instead of raiders. Not everything was perfect. There were disagreements, misunderstandings, moments of friction, but they worked through them. Together, Minho walked through the city 2 years after his crash. It was so different now. Full of life, full of hope. Children of multiple species playing together. Human and Velhari couples working side by side. Buildings that combined Earth technology with Velhari organic design. He found Nari in the command center, reviewing trade agreements with 3 other star systems. She looked up when he entered and smiled. Ready? She asked. For our meeting. Don't tell me you forgot. Minho had. They were supposed to present their proposal to the combined council today. They walked together to the Great Hall. It was packed. Humans, Velhari, Cathara, and now representatives from other species who had heard about the success story here. Nari spoke first. 2 years ago, we were dying. Now, we're growing. 2 years ago, we were alone. Now, we have allies. 2 years ago, we had no hope. Now, we have everything, Minho continued. We've proven that cooperation between species works. That sharing knowledge and resources benefits everyone. We propose formalizing this. Creating an official alliance. Humans and Velhari and Cathara, working together. The vote was unanimous. That night, they celebrated. Minho stood with Nari on their favorite balcony, watching fireworks light up the sky. Human fireworks, adapted to Velhari bioluminescent technology, creating colors that shouldn't exist. Do you ever regret it? Nari asked. Crashing here? Staying? Minho thought about Earth, about his old life, about the person he used to be. No, he said finally. I set out to discover alien life. Instead, I discovered home. I discovered purpose. I discovered you. Nari leaned against him. The old prophecies said a stranger from the stars would save us. They were right. Just not in the way anyone expected. I didn't save you. We saved each other. Yes, Nari agreed. We did. Below them, the city thrived. Above them, stars shone. 2 species that had been dying were now building a future together. And in a small room in the medical center, Hana checked on the latest group of children. 50 babies, human and Velhari genes combined, sleeping peacefully. The first generation of a new future. Minho's final log entry, transmitted to Earth and archived for history, was simple. Captain Minho, final report. Mission status. Complete beyond all expectations. I came to explore the unknown. I found family. I found love. I found proof that the universe is bigger than our fears and smaller than our hopes. I set out to discover alien life. Instead, I discovered that life, wherever it exists, shares the same fundamental truth. We're all stronger together. We all deserve a chance to survive. And we all need someone to remind us that tomorrow is possible, even when today looks dark. Mission complete. But the adventure continues. The stars kept shining. The city kept growing. And two species that had been strangers became one people, building a future that neither could have created alone. The day Minho met an all-female alien tribe, everything changed. Not just for them, not just for him, but for everyone who would come after, who would look at the stars and know that somewhere out there, people different from them were waiting, not as enemies, as family.